Murder has inspired documentaries, podcasts, and even games. But our obsession with these stories got us wondering, are there certain traits or factors that make somebody more likely to kill someone? And are you capable of murder? To start, have you ever thought about it before? Well, this isn't actually that meaningful because it's so common. A survey of almost 1,000 students found that 76% of women and 91% of men reported having one vivid and memorable homicidal thought. In fact, other reports show men may have roughly 10 murder fantasies and women 3 in the past year. Is your heart beating fast right now? Then you're probably safe. A study of 710,000 men had their resting heart rate measured when they were 18 years old as part of a military service test. In the decades that followed, the men with the lowest resting heart rates were 39% more likely than the high resting heart rate group to commit a violent crime. Additionally, a separate study found that a low heart rate was linked to stalking behavior. A study of murderers who plead not guilty by reason of a mental disorder had their brain scans compared to age and sex-matched controls. Turns out, they did have lower activity in the prefrontal cortex, which makes sense as it's involved in decision-making and moderating social behavior. They also found higher activity in the limbic system, which is the part of the brain more likely to generate pure emotion like anger and reduced self-control. Or maybe you carry the warrior gene, another name for the MAO-A gene or monoamine oxidase. And it's a gene that we all carry, but some of us, approximately 33%, carry a variant that is linked with aggression. Now, all these factors make a case for nature over nurture, but of course, environment plays a role as well. Having this warrior gene variant does not necessarily mean you will be more aggressive, but having this variant in combination with environmental factors such as suffering abuse increases your odds. Further studies have found that 68% of serial killers received some type of childhood abuse, which is a much higher rate than normal. Violence and aggression is related to a poor diet, particularly a lack of omega-3 fatty acid. A double-blind study found this fatty acid could reduce violent offenses by 37% in prison inmates. Also, stay safe on Sundays. A CDC report concluded that this is the most popular day for murders. Of course, violence does not equal homicide, but if we are looking for a predictor in the makings of a murderer, we have to investigate a person's prior incidences. One analysis found that over half of the women murdered in the US were killed by a current or former partner, and about a third of the male killers were known to be a potential threat ahead of the attack. Another study found that prior non-fatal strangulation of a partner was associated with a 7 times increased risk of homicide, which leads to another glaring factor. If you are a man, you are more likely to murder. Though women make up half of the population, they commit only 14.7% of murders. But why? Committing murder is risky and can have severe costs, such as not having access to your kids. A study on child survival in 28 populations around the world over 3 centuries found that losing your mother can significantly reduce a child's chances of survival, but this is not the case for losing a father. As a result, some hypothesize that from the perspective of passing on your genes, women have more at stake if they are guilty of homicide. But why murder at all? Though controversial, some scientists argue that throughout our evolutionary history, the benefits of murder often outweigh the cost, suggesting that murder is an evolutionary strategy. In fact, a study of over 4 million recorded deaths from over 1,000 different species of mammals found that lethal violence increased with evolution and that primates, including humans, are 6 times more likely to murder their own species than other animals. Of course, our rate of murder has decreased dramatically since the medieval period, which is often considered to be the most violent, at which time 12% of all recorded deaths were attributed to murder. Compare that to today, where the rate is only 1.33%. Of course, 33% of murders go unsolved, which is scary. And with today's AI technology, the idea of what is real or who did what becomes more difficult to discern. We have a new video that looks at some of the most convincing deep fakes to see whether or not you can tell when something is real or created by artificial intelligence. You can click here to watch the video.
It's super freaky, and so many people in the comments of that video said they got all of them wrong.
Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for new videos every Thursday, and we'll see you next week for some more science.